Wow, what a great run we have had together here on Scripture of the Day, going through the Gospel of Matthew. And today we come to Matthew chapter 27, where Jesus Christ dies on the cross for our sins. And what I want to do, there's so much in this chapter today, and I hope you read all of it, but I'm going to zero in on the perspective of this centurion, this guy that we meet here in this story. And as Jesus is getting falsely accused and delivered over to Pilate, eventually he is handed over to the soldiers. And these Roman soldiers, they completely mistreat Jesus. And as you and I consider the cross today, sometimes we think about the physical suffering that Jesus went through. Sometimes we think about the spiritual wrath that he endured for our sin. But what about the shame and the mockery that Jesus had to go through? Listen to what it says about the soldiers in verse 27. Then the soldiers of the governor took Jesus into the governor's headquarters, and they gathered the whole battalion before him. So a lot of soldiers. And they stripped him. Just think about that shaming there. Put a scarlet robe on him. Twisting together a crown of thorns, they put it on his head and put a reed in his right hand. And kneeling before him, they mocked him, saying, "Hail, King of the Jews." And they spit on him and took the reed and struck him on the head. Just think about that. Somebody coming and spitting on you. Somebody taking this reed and striking this crown of thorns that's on your head, pounding the thorns into your skull, and you're beginning to bleed. And when they had mocked him, they stripped him of the robe and put his own clothes on him and led him away to crucify him. So they set up Jesus to be some kind of mock king of the Jews and just kind of did whatever they wanted to him. And it's just shameful how they treated Jesus in this way. Now, the story continues. The mockery spreads. If you look at verse 39, everybody who passes by Jesus on the cross is deriding him, wagging their heads and saying, if you're the Son of God, come down from the cross, you know. And then you got the chief priests, the scribes, the elders. They're all mocking him. He saved others. He cannot save himself. It even says here in Matthew 27:44 that the robbers who were crucified with him also reviled him. I mean, the mockery is getting so intense that people passing by, the chief priests and the scribes gloating and enjoying the moment, the guys who are dying on either side of Jesus are joining in on this festival of mockery upon him. Now, then comes the moment where Jesus cries out with a loud voice and yields up his spirit. And then this happens. And Matthew really gives us these details. Behold, the curtain of the temple was torn in two, from top to bottom, and the earth shook, and the rocks were split. The tombs also were opened, and many bodies of the saints who had fallen asleep were raised. And coming out of the tombs after his resurrection, they went into the holy city and appeared to many. And when the centurion and those who were with him, keeping watch over Jesus, saw the earthquake and what took place, they were filled with awe and said, "Truly, this was the Son of God." So the centurion, he's the guy who's the leader of the Roman soldiers. He has like 100 soldiers at his command. I bet he was there when all this mockery and shameful treatment of Jesus was going on. Perhaps it was going on under his authority, and he was not only allowing it, but agreeing with it, maybe doing it himself. And then he sees the way Jesus conducts himself. And then he sees how Jesus handles all this mockery and all of this shame. And then, man, the darkness, the earthquake, the splitting of the rocks, the crying out with the loud voice. I mean, here's the thing. From a guy who was hard-hearted against Jesus, and then he saw Jesus die, his response afterwards, yeah, this guy was the Son of God. They're not mocking him anymore as the King of Jews. It says here, this word awe, you could translate that great fear. I don't think many things caused Roman centurions to fear, but when they saw Jesus die, they were filled with great fear, and they knew they were in the presence of God. That's what it's like to witness Jesus Christ die on the cross. You go from mockery to worship of the Son of God. That's the centurion's perspective on the crucifixion. And we should take that to heart. That's not just one of the disciples telling us what happened when Jesus died. This is somebody who was a mocker, a scoffer, now becoming a worshiper. So that's powerful. And just to think about these miracles that took place at the death of Jesus. I mean, for the temple and the curtain, this is a massive tapestry. To be torn in two from top to bottom, the temple and the curtain separated the rest of the temple from the Holy of Holies. And this is symbolic that the temple of the curtain is tearing. This means that we all now, through the death of Christ, through Jesus now being our sacrifice and our high priest, you and I have access to God through our mediator, Jesus Christ. That's what this curtain in the temple tearing is all about. You and I can now go to God. We don't need a temple. We don't need some sacrificial system. Jesus is our once-for-all sacrifice. Jesus is our high priest who brings us into God's presence. And not only the earthquake and the rock splitting and all that's going on there, how about these just spontaneous resurrections taking place at the moment of crucifixion? How about some of the saints rising, and then after Jesus rises from the dead, they start walking around in Jerusalem and people see them. Oh, you rose from the dead too. I mean, that's something we don't always talk about, is these other resurrections where people are coming out of the tombs because of the death of Jesus Christ. So this is truly something amazing and miraculous for you and I to consider as we go through our day-to-day. And just to hear the centurion say and to think about what this guy oversaw when they were going to kill Jesus. And then he saw Jesus die, and then he was filled with great fear, and he said, this man was the Son of God. And so I encourage you to spend some time really meditating on the crucifixion of Jesus Christ. I mean, all of the gospel that we've been doing for 27 days. It's been building up to this moment as we now have arrived at the death and resurrection of Jesus Christ. And going through Matthew together with you in videos like this, I got to tell you, it's been so encouraging for me. And people are like, wow, it must be a lot of work to make these videos. Look, if this is work, sign me up for more of it. I'm having so much fun making these videos. In fact, I'm here to announce to you right now where I am. I'm actually on a road trip. We're calling it the Good News Gospel Road Trip. And I am actually sitting inside of an RV right now. And I'm on a road trip, and we're out filming not only the end of the Gospel of Matthew, but we are ready to take it to the next level in the Gospel of Mark. And so I want to invite you to come with me on the Good News Gospel Trail. Let's go.